My girlfriend told me she was no longer in love with me but wanted us to keep living together, so I turned into the perfect roommate and quit doing everything for her until she finally realized what she'd lost and begged me to take her back. But I had already met someone better. I'm Jake, 28, and trust me, I know a thing or two about betrayal. Most recently it was with Belinda, 26. We'd been together for 3 years and for the last 18 months, we'd been living together. I'm a software engineer doing well for myself. Belinda? She lost her marketing job early on and started freelancing in graphic design, but her income was spotty at best. When we first started dating, Belinda was this incredible, independent force of nature. She had her own place, paid her own way, never asked for a thing. That's what drew me to her, this fierce self-reliance. But slowly, subtly after she moved in, things started to shift. At first, she was contributing, dipping into savings. Then, her freelance work really slowed down, especially during the pandemic. I told her, "Don't worry about it, I've got us covered until you get back on your feet." I thought it was temporary. A few months, maybe. I was so wrong. It became permanent. I started taking care of everything. Rent, utilities, groceries, both our car insurances, even her phone bill. I added her to my family plan to save money. I handled household repairs, cleaning, our entire social calendar. When we went out with friends, I picked up the tab. Vacations? Flights, hotels, meals, all me. She seemed grateful at first, promising things would change. But as time wore on, the promises faded. She just expected it, like it was the natural order of things. She'd ask me to book dinner reservations for her and her friends, expect me to drive her around when her car was acting up, make plans for us without a word, knowing I'd handle the logistics and the cost. Physically we were good. We were intimate, she seemed happy, she'd say she loved me, we'd cuddle watching TV. From the outside we were the perfect couple. We even talked about moving to a bigger place, maybe getting a dog. Then, 3 weeks ago, my world tilted. We were watching some reality show and I leaned in to kiss her goodnight like I always did. She pulled back, gave me the strange look. She grabbed the remote, muted the TV and turned to me. "I need to tell you something important," she said. My heart just sank. She said she liked me as a person, enjoyed living with me, but she wasn't in love with me anymore. She hadn't been for months, maybe longer. She wanted to be honest, she said, out of respect. I just stared at her, my mind reeling. I managed to ask what she wanted to do about our living situation. Her reply hit me like a cold shower. "I hope we can keep living together. As friends. We work well as roommates and I don't want to mess up a good thing." She valued our friendship, didn't want to lose that. I needed to think. I went to bed, but sleep was miles away. 20 minutes later, my phone started buzzing. I had access to Belinda's group chat on our shared tablet. I watched the messages pop up, her telling her friends about our brave, mature, honest conversation. Her friends were gushing, telling her how courageous she was for not lying. That's when it hit me. Belinda wasn't being brave. She was being practical. She'd found a way to keep all the perks of our relationship. The apartment I paid for, the financial security, the emotional support, the companionship, without any of the actual obligation of loving me back. She just didn't want the guilt. The next morning, I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Yeah, being roommates sounds fine." She hugged me, relieved. "This will be better for both of us," she chirped. That's when I decided I would be the perfect roommate. Not a boyfriend, just a roommate. I stopped making her coffee. I used to make a whole pot, leave her mug out. Now, just one travel mug for me and I took it to work. Her laundry? No. Her favorite yogurt, that expensive granola? I bought what I needed. Period. When she asked me to book dinner for her and her friends, I was busy. Her car started making that grinding noise again. "Sounds frustrating," I told her. "Yelp has good local mechanics." She kept giving me these looks like she was waiting for me to step in to fix it. She'd leave dishes in the sink, I'm sure expecting me to wash them. I just washed mine. Her dishes stayed. She'd play sad music, sigh loudly. She asked to watch a movie? Go into the gym. She was getting frustrated. I didn't understand why. I was giving her exactly what she asked for. We were roommates. I treated her with basic politeness, nothing more, nothing less. Just like any other roommate. Then her phone got shut off. She came to me in a panic. "What happened?" "Well," I said calmly, "since we're not really family anymore, I removed my card. You'll need your own plan." I even offered to help her find a new provider. I wasn't being mean, I wasn't seeking revenge. I was being logical. She ended the romantic relationship, so I adjusted my behavior to match that reality. You don't do those extra things for a roommate. Not for someone you're not in love with. Our lease was up in 2 months. I'd already started looking at one-bedroom places near my office. Belinda didn't know. Roommates don't discuss long-term housing plans, do they? Then came her birthday. She turned 27. Usually I'd plan something big. Trips, parties, reservations. This year? Happy birthday, I said. Got any fun plans? She looked shocked. She thought we would do something. I reminded her, boyfriends do that for girlfriends. Or people do it for themselves. Since we're roommates, I figured you'd want to celebrate with your actual friends. She ended up ordering Chinese food alone. The financial reality started to crush her. The traffic ticket for expired tax, I always handled that. Her car insurance skyrocketed without my family plan discount. She asked me to drive her to Target. I offered to drop her off on my way to a hike, suggesting she Uber or bus home. She ended up taking a 2-transfer bus ride, carrying heavy bags, exhausted. It took her over an hour. She was realizing how much I'd been handling. All the little things that make life easier. Now she had to figure it out herself. And adulting, it turns out, requires a lot more money and planning than she remembered. Her freelance work wasn't enough. She was eating a lot of pasta and canned soup. I meanwhile kept my fresh vegetables, good meat, organic treats, all on my designated shelves. She asked to borrow food. Anything in the shared sections, sure. I said. But the rest is mine. She asked for money. Lending money to roommates can get awkward, I replied. Maybe ask friends or family or pick up more freelance. Even her friends started to feel the awkwardness. They'd whisper when they came over. Patty, one of her closest, even approached me, asking if I could work things out. She said Belinda just got scared about commitment. I told Patty that Belinda had been very clear. She wasn't in love with me. I was respecting that honesty. Patty looked frustrated. Sometimes people say things they don't mean when they're stressed. I asked if she thought Belinda was lying. Patty had no answer. I started going out more. Hiking group, gym, cooking classes. Things I always wanted to do but never had time for when I was managing our relationship. Belinda was home alone most evenings. I found an amazing new apartment. 1 bedroom, cheaper, closer to work. I hadn't signed yet, wanting to give Belinda notice. But she never asked about the lease. She still expected me to handle it. Then things exploded. My landlord sent the renewal notice. I left it on the counter. Belinda found it. Are we renewing? She asked. No, I said. I've already signed a lease on a new place. Her face went white. Where does that leave me? You'll need to decide if you want to take over the lease yourself, or find somewhere else. I even offered to ask the landlord about removing my name. That's when she completely lost it. She yelled that I was abandoning her, that I was cruel, punishing her for being honest. I stayed calm. Roommates don't typically sign long-term leases together unless discussed. I assumed you'd want the freedom to make your own housing decisions as an independent adult. You knew I couldn't afford this, she screamed. You're deliberately putting me in an impossible situation. You never asked about my plans for the lease, I pointed out. If you had, we could have had this conversation much earlier. Why are you doing this to me? You're vindictive. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, I told her. You said you wanted to be friends, not romantic partners. I'm respecting that. She finally asked what she was supposed to do. I suggested looking for roommates, moving back with parents, or even asking Patty, who was looking for a 2-bedroom. Moving back with my parents would be humiliating, she cried. Patty lives in a bad neighborhood. I calmly said these were challenging options, but she'd figured it out before. She was independent before me. She argued that her financial situation was different now. I agreed and said that's exactly why she needed control over her own expenses. She stormed out. She didn't speak to me for 3 days. I heard her on the phone constantly, frantic. Then on Thursday she came to me. Exhausted, tear-streaked. I've been thinking, she said. I realize I might have been taking you for granted. I want to rebuild our relationship. What do you mean, rebuild? I asked, my voice flat. I want us to be a couple again, she said. I was confused before. Now I know what I want. What changed since you told me you weren't in love with me 6 weeks ago? She claimed she'd been scared of commitment, convinced herself she didn't have strong feelings. Living as friends made me realize how much I actually care about you. Interesting, I said. When exactly did you realize you were in love with me again? It built up over the past few weeks, she insisted. It became clear when I thought about you moving out. The timing seems convenient, I mused, given you just found out you can't afford this place without me. She got defensive. Money has nothing to do with it. I genuinely miss being close to you. I appreciate your honesty, I said, but I'm not interested in dating you again. Why not? You already told me you weren't in love with me. I believed you. I don't think feelings change that dramatically in 6 weeks. She insisted her feelings were real, asked what she could do to prove it. I looked at her and the words just came out, there's nothing you can do. Because I'm no longer in love with you either. It wasn't entirely true when I said it. But in that moment it became true. Something shifted. I was done. Truly irrevocably done. She started crying again. You're giving up on us too easily. Relationships require work and compromise. You're right, I said. They require work. But they also require both people to actually want to be in the relationship. And I no longer want to be in a romantic relationship with you. She moved in with her friend Amanda, hoping I'd change my mind. I didn't. I moved out the next Friday. I'd already started packing. She found most of my stuff gone, movers coming. She tried one last plea, talking about couples counseling. I told her we weren't a couple. She talked about our comfortable routine, our shared friend group. Those describe a good roommate situation, I corrected her, not a romantic relationship. You still have feelings for me, she insisted. I can tell by the way you look at me sometimes. That's an interesting theory, I said, but you're wrong. My behavior changed because my feelings changed. The night you told your friends about our conversation before you'd even finished having it with me. That's when I realized you weren't actually interested in an honest discussion. You just wanted validation for a decision you'd already made. She started crying again, saying she never meant for things to end this way. I believe you, I told her, but intentions don't matter as much as actions. I left my key on the counter, a note with my new address. My new apartment is smaller, but it's mine. Everything reflects my preferences. My reading chair by the window, plants on the balcony, my office set up exactly how I want it. I've been dating someone new for about 3 weeks. Her name is Rebecca. She's a nurse. I met her at that hiking group. She has her own apartment, pays her own bills, never asks me to fix anything or run her errands. When she cooks, she cleans. When we go out, she pays her share. When she says she loves spending time with me, she shows it by planning things with me, not expecting me to do it all. It's a good reminder of what a balanced relationship looks like. Belinda texted me last week asking for coffee, for closure, to apologize. I didn't respond. We had closure the day I moved out. She doesn't need my permission to apologize, and I don't need to hear it to move on. Through mutual friends, I heard she moved back in with her parents, still freelancing, looking for a full-time job. Patty asked if I'd talk to her. I said no. I hoped she'd figure things out, but I wasn't the person to help. Some might say I was too harsh. But you can't expect people to wait indefinitely while you figure out what you want. She told me she wasn't in love with me, so I stopped acting like someone who was. She wanted the benefits of a devoted boyfriend without the obligations of being a devoted girlfriend. When I cut those benefits, she realized what she was giving up. But by then, I'd realized what I was giving up. My time, my energy, my money, for someone who didn't appreciate it enough to love me back. I was settling. I'm not angry with Belinda anymore. She's a decent person who made selfish choices without thinking of the implications. But I don't miss her, and I don't wish things had worked out differently. I'm happier now. Pause, change in tone. A slight shift in the music, perhaps a deeper, more intense undercurrent. But this relatively recent experience with Belinda, it was almost like a postscript, a final lesson from a far more devastating chapter of my life. A wound that had festered for years, taught me the true meaning of betrayal, and ultimately carved out the path for the man I am today. You see, years before Belinda, before my current success, there was Sarah and James. I was 20, fresh out of college, working at a promising tech startup. My girlfriend, Sarah, was 19, beautiful, studying psychology. We connected instantly over indie music and horror movies. Life was perfect. Good money, loving girlfriend, saving up for our own place. My mom met Robert, a successful real estate developer, at a charity event. They dated for a year, got married. I was genuinely happy for my mom. She'd raised me alone since I was 12. She deserved happiness. Robert had a son, James, 22. From day one there was tension. James was a college dropout, living at home, constantly trying to one-up me. If I helped mom, he'd reorganize the pantry. If I talked about my job, he'd interrupt with grand plans for his business empire. I mostly ignored him, focusing on Sarah. We were 2 years in, serious. Weekends together, talking about moving in. I thought she was the one. Then came a family barbecue. James met Sarah. I watched him stare at her all evening, finding reasons to be wherever she was. Offering to help in the kitchen, laughing too hard at her jokes. Sarah was wearing a blue sundress. I remember it vividly. After that, living with James became unbearable. Whenever Sarah visited, he'd appear from his room, planting himself in the living room. He started texting her, book recommendations, advice for his non-existent girlfriend's problems, memes. Sarah would show me, saying he was just being friendly, needed someone to talk to. The red flags were there, waving right in front of my face. But I was too trusting, too naive. He started working out at her gym. He changed his clothes, his haircut, trying to become me right under my nose. One Tuesday I came home early. Client meeting canceled. I found Sarah and James in the living room, their heads bent together, closer than friends should ever be. They jumped apart when they saw me. Sarah claimed she was helping him with his dating profile. I confronted her later. She turned it on me, calling me possessive. James is like a brother to me, she said. I wanted to believe her. The alternative was too painful. Around this time, I was saving for an engagement ring. Every paycheck, money went into that account. I tracked it in my budgeting app. Watching the numbers grow, planning to propose on our 3rd anniversary. Then one day I noticed something odd. Withdrawals I hadn't made. At first I thought it was a bank error. But the transaction history. Multiple withdrawals over 2 months, always when I was at work and James was home. $15,000. My entire savings. Gone. I was devastated. When I confronted James, he just smirked. Prove it was me. Before I could even process, he went to his dad, Robert, and spun an outrageous tale. I had stolen $10,000 from him. He claimed he kept cash from odd jobs and online trading. Robert, who always favored his son, believed him. Immediately. It got worse. James produced bank statements showing transfers from his account to mine. They looked real enough. They convinced Robert. And to my shock, even my own mother. The final blow. Sarah broke up with me. By text message. She wrote that she couldn't believe I would steal from my own family, that she'd seen signs of my greed before. A week later I saw them. Sarah was wearing the promise ring I had given her. But she was holding James's hand, laughing, then they kissed. My world shattered. Everything clicked into place. The texting, the gym, the fake friendly chats. They had been seeing each other behind my back for months. That evening Robert confronted me. He demanded I return James's money or he'd call the police. I tried to show him my bank records, prove the money had been stolen from me. He wouldn't listen. My own mother, the woman who raised me to be honest, looked at me with doubt. Robert gave me 24 hours. Return the money or move out. I packed that night. My mom cried in her room. My friend Marcus let me crash on his couch. The next few months were a blur of pain and anger. I worked overtime, took on freelance projects. I cut off everyone. Blocked Sarah. The betrayal was too deep. But losing everything became my motivation. All that anger, all that pain? I channeled it into work. Within a year, I started my own software development company, specializing in security applications. The irony was not lost on me. My company grew beyond my wildest dreams. Then a guy named Mike reached out. He'd seen my post about Belinda online. Turns out he was James's close friend back then. What he told me, it made me realize the betrayal was even more sinister than I'd imagined. Mike, nervous and checking his phone, met me at a coffee shop. James, he said, had been plotting to steal both my girlfriend and my money for months. It wasn't some impulsive crush. It was a calculated plan to destroy my life. Mike showed me text messages. James bragging, saying I didn't deserve what I had, jealous of my job, my savings, my relationship. Messages outlining his strategy to get close to Sarah, poisoning her mind against me. The manipulation was elaborate. James told Sarah I was trash-talking her to coworkers, making fun of her career. He invented stories about a gambling problem, showing her fake betting slips. He even made up stories about me pressuring other women for dates. But it got worse. Those bank statements James used to frame me? Mike admitted he helped create them using Photoshop. He worked at a print shop, had access to high-quality equipment. They spent hours making them look authentic. Mike felt guilty. He offered to come clean to my family. I told him not to bother. I'd moved on. Mike also revealed that James had been secretly recording our conversations. He'd provoke me, then edit the recordings to make it sound like I was admitting to theft. He had dozens of these manipulated clips ready to use. The most painful revelation: Sarah wasn't an innocent victim. She was an active participant. Mike showed me screenshots of conversations between James and Sarah. She suggested making me look financially irresponsible to my family. She knew about the fake bank statements. She helped create the gambling narrative. She had given James access to my phone multiple times. She knew my passcode. They used it to access my banking apps, gather information. Sarah even installed a tracking app on my phone so they'd know when I was coming home early. The $15,000 they stole? My entire savings for our future? It funded their secret relationship. While I was working overtime for our engagement ring, they were using my money for luxury trips, high-end hotels, designer clothes. Mike showed me their Instagram stories hidden from me. Made me sick. I remembered Sarah talking about saving money, suggesting we eat at home to save for our future. She was spending my future with James. Then my mom called again. Crying, saying she missed me, seeing cracks in Robert's perfect facade. Part of me wanted to send her everything Mike had given me. But another part, I'd rebuilt my life. Was it worth dragging up all that pain again? I decided no. I thanked Mike, but I didn't want to get involved in their lives again. The betrayal was too deep. My focus was my company. Success was the best revenge. Fast forward 3 months. James and Sarah got married. A rushed, desperate courthouse ceremony. Ashley, a mutual friend, told me Sarah's dream beach wedding was gone. James was trying to network with guests, pitching some crypto scheme, practically begging for investors. Sarah was flaunting an expensive engagement ring bought entirely on credit. Their financial situation was dire. James lost his job at Robert's company after costly mistakes. Robert finally saw his son's true colors. Sarah's shopping addiction, which I never knew about, had spiraled. Maxed out credit cards, luxury items, often returned for store credit. Then out of the blue, James showed up at my office. My receptionist tried to turn him away, but he made such a scene, I gave him 5 minutes. I barely recognized him. Wrinkled clothes, unwashed hair, dark circles. Nothing like the arrogant, polished guy who'd stolen my life. He broke down, sobbing. He confirmed everything Mike said, the plotting, the theft, destroying my relationship with my family. But that wasn't why he was there. Sarah, he said, had developed a serious gambling addiction after their wedding. It escalated from phone poker to online casinos, sports betting. To fund it, she started stealing money from her accounting firm. Manipulating books, diverting client payments to her personal accounts. She stole over $50,000. Her company gave her an ultimatum: repay it in a month or face criminal charges. And then the kicker: Sarah was 3 months pregnant. James spent an hour crying, begging for help. He offered to sign a legal document admitting he stole from me, promised to tell our parents everything. He showed me their mounting bills, final notices. The amount they needed to save Sarah was exactly double what they stole from me. He tried to frame it as cosmic justice. If I helped, they'd pay me back double. They'd be indebted to me for years. I sat there listening, remembering those nights on Marcus's couch, working multiple jobs. My mom's tears. The years of ruined family relationships. James looked at me with desperate eyes, expecting the same understanding I used to have for my stepbro. Sarah called me later that night from an unknown number. Hysterical. Begging. She mentioned the baby. Said she couldn't give birth in prison. Claimed she'd changed, regretted everything, thought about me every day. The same old lies, just with higher stakes now. I had a week to think. The evidence of their embezzlement sat in my email, sent by James himself. Part of me wanted to forward it to her employer. Another part wanted to just keep ignoring them. I chose justice. I forwarded all the evidence James had sent me, along with Mike's details about their previous theft, to Sarah's employer. Some call it revenge. I call it holding people accountable. Sarah's company pressed charges. They found she'd stolen closer to $75,000. She was arrested. James finally told our parents the truth, but only because he was evicted and needed a place to stay. Robert sent me a text apology that read more like a legal disclaimer. My mom called constantly, begging for reconciliation, using the baby as leverage. Your future niece or nephew shouldn't have to be born with their mother in prison. I blocked her number after that. Sarah's parents cut her off completely. No help with legal fees. They'd always been suspicious about our breakup. This confirmed their worst fears. James and Sarah moved back in with Robert. James now works fast food, saving for Sarah's defense. Sarah is under house arrest, ankle monitor, no internet access due to her gambling. My mom showed up at my office, crying about Sarah's difficult pregnancy under house arrest. Guilt-tripping me again. I had security escort her out. Robert tried to reach me through my company email, suggesting we handle things privately if I withdrew my statement. I had my lawyer send him a cease and desist. Some relatives posted on social media. calling me cruel, unforgiving. They don't know the full story. As for me, my company expanded to 3 new cities. I got engaged to Emma, who I met at a tech conference. She knows my entire story, understands why I keep my distance from my family. We're planning a destination wedding next spring. No, my family won't be invited. Some people might think I was too harsh, especially with a baby involved. But I believe they finally faced the consequences of their choices. Their situation isn't my responsibility. Pregnancy isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card for fraud. I've blocked everyone except my mom, though I rarely respond to her emotional texts. I've learned that sometimes the best response is no response at all. My company is thriving. I'm happily engaged. And I've found that, truly, success is the best revenge. What about you? Have you ever had to draw a line with someone who just wouldn't respect it? Or faced a betrayal that changed your entire outlook on trust and what you're willing to accept in your life? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your perspective.